Welcome back to another episode of the War Room powered by Prep Baseball and Draft HQ. I am Shooter Hunt, Vice President of Scouting at Prep Baseball, joined by the great Dr. David Seifert, who we pried away from college baseball. He was locked into some amateur action. I had to get him prepped up for the 2026 class because this, of course, is an episode devoted to the 2026 prep class, looking ahead towards the MLB draft. Seif, I know you got a quick look. I've shared with you some notes, some thoughts. We're going to go in a great discussion on this class. What are you most excited about? You had almost a blank slate. What are you most excited about in 2026?
Well, college-wise, it's going to be a super deep class. So I know the 25 class was prep heavy. It wasn't light on college, but it was certainly a really gifted prep class. And I think this year they may switch a little bit where the college class comes to the forefront, while at the same time the prep class is strong. It just might not be 8 prep shortstops in the first round strong, right? We certainly have at least three, but certainly maybe not 8.
Yeah, I would say 8 is a little bit, and that was one of the big keys. And we'll kind of dive right into it from the prep class because this was the most that I've ever seen a rising draft class in one summer. I kind of traveled around with these guys, saw I think 4 and 5 outings out of some of the arms. So it was really in-depth coverage from our standpoint and putting together this list and kind of going to drive the draft board, which will be coming out, our initial draft board, along with a little post-summer summer stock mock draft. Some of the big notable things and kind of the themes of the class that I began to notice throughout was like you talked about, that 25 class and their shortstops. This is not the same. It kind of put in perspective just how good that group was, that it had so much depth. It had so much frontline talent. This class, not the same. There are really big time guys, right? There's obviously going to be first rounders. There'll be some guys that continue to raise. It's not going to be as strong as last year. Does not mean that there is not intrinsic value throughout from the shortstop side of things. That was one of the big things. I love the right-handed arm potential of this class. Tons of depth, which is in stark contrast to the lefties, which I think the lefties, tons of talent at the top. We have not seen a trio of lefties that we will talk about on this episode in, I'm trying to think recent memory. I can't remember. Because these 3 frontline guys have a chance to be top 10 picks. We will get to that. The depth, not the same as last year. I thought last year had a good, solid group of tier 2 talent on the left-handed pitching side. But those monsters at the top are definitely going to get paid. The outfielders. This year's outfield class, kind of similar to last year's shortstop. Not quite yet at that premium end, but the depth of it. I think there's a lot of guys who are kind of in that second round value right now. They have a path to get into the first round, but it is a group of, I'd say, about 10 deep, where you start thinking about these guys have a chance to really raise their stock as day one guys. And then the catching, I think it's just like a low high school catching, obviously not at a premium when we're looking ahead towards the draft. It is just not the strongest of class. Kind of the 2 guys at the top that we'll talk about in a little bit. There's obviously some good ones. And Seif, we're going to have to continue to look over the next year, because what happens to those high school catchers? They go off to college and then they grab all sorts of value. So there are definitely some big time catchers that will develop. I just don't think it'll be this year. But let's dive right into the shortstop class, because that's what everybody wants to talk about, right? And one of those, I always go back to Draft Day, right? Have you seen that movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner, where he's the GM of the Browns? But in the end, not to be too much of a spoiler, but he has his pick. He tucks it in his pocket. He says, "This is the guy." We've kind of done that with Jacob Lombard. And for those of you listening who do not know who this is the number 1 prospect in the class. He's been that for us for 3+ years. Out of Miami, Gulliver Prep kid. His brother is a first rounder of the Yankees. His dad's got big league blood. Seif, I know you got a chance to check him out. Let me hear what you have to say about Jacob Lombard before I dive into a full soliloquy.
Yeah, and again, you saw these guys over 4 or 5 week periods several times each. I just saw him in a 1 game, 9 innings, 4 at bats, 5 at bats. Absolutely loved him. To compare him to Willits, who was the number 1 overall pick in the 25 draft, high school shortstop. Lombard is a tier above Willits for me. Now, Willits is going to turn out to be a good big leaguer, but Lombard could just be a perennial all-star. I mean, I don't know. I saw the power still on the come, but I saw a 5-tool guy stay at shortstop, future all-star. Absolutely love this guy. son of a big leaguer, brother of a guy aspiring to become a big leaguer here, and just a fabulous player.
And just being around him, it makes you like him even more. It makes it easy for a GM to love him, a scouting director, special assistant, whoever it is. The makeup's there. He plays with a low pulse, but it is impressive athleticism. Really talented soccer player, Seif. Got a little bit banged up last spring. And now Gulliver Prep doesn't play a massive schedule down there in South Florida and Miami area. He kind of came back late, didn't play as much in the spring. By the end of the spring, he started coming on, and then their season ends. He heads to NPI, which kicked off the summer. He's with the Padres scout team, a really good club. Did not have the loud explosion at that event. I thought he was missing some stuff. Timing wasn't there at the plate. But again, a lot of that comes from, hey, just having the reps. As the summer comes up, continue to go on, water found its level. And that's why you go out and scout the tools, right, Seif? Not just the reporting of it. Hey, this guy's really good. And even on days for me with Jacob Lombard where, hey, he didn't do much today, I'd go back there and I'd be like, well, he had 2 walks and he had a single. And maybe he struck out or he flew out. So he was 1 for 2. He was on base 3 out of 4 times. And that kept happening over and over. Quick first step. It's as high IQ as we've seen. It's a 1-1 potential out of Jacob Lombard, and I think he's got a strong shot of landing there because he goes up head-to-head with a Rock Chalowski type. He's bigger, more athletic, a little bit quicker, or he's quicker. So that'll be interesting to see who ends up with the first pick when they're doing stuff with that. But it's not just Lombard. Tyler Spangler, Grady Emerson, kind of similar profiles with the bat first. Grady's arm has continued to get better at shortstop. I think he has a chance to stick there. Spangler's like one of my favorite guys, Seif. And I know you got a chance to see it a little bit. It's very Corey Seager-esque, square shoulder. He's 6'3", 190. Everything he does is relaxed on the field. Kind of has these De La Salle High School, so NorCal kid, has that NorCal relaxed look, but his takes are so good in the box. Everything is slow. Doesn't matter if it's 96, 84-mile-an-hour slider, left on left. He sees the ball really well, has great swings decisions. Was a little pull happy late in the summer, but the power's there. I've seen him hit to all fields, the defense, the frame. He would have a chance to challenge Lombard just if he got enough looks, simply because he's a left-handed hitter with that power profile. Emerson's going to hit. And I kind of wrote it up in the release for our 2026 stuff, Seif. Emerson's been on the national circuit probably since he was like 12 years old. And you almost get that prospect fatigue because of that guy, but he keeps getting better. And what he needed to work on his defense, that got better. He's got a chance to stick at shortstop. He can really hit. Another guy where I got a chance to see him at USA trials. I thought he took great at bats, but even so, the workout, like it's a hit power profile. The kid's just going to hit. I keep kind of confident that Sean Gamble, who the Royals took in the first round this year, just with the hit tool, but Grady's swing decisions are probably better and ahead of Gamble's. He's in top 15 pick potential there. Really good looking athlete. He's chased by Cole Kinniger, who is one of the more fascinating prospects in this class because not only is he one of the higher level shortstops who just hits the ball with authority from the right side, he's 6'3", 205. Seif, he's one of the top 10 right-handers in the class as well.
Yeah, he closed it out the game I saw too, 93, 95. They hit him around a little bit. First couple batteries, he absolutely just dominated, and then they kind of figured him out a little bit. His fastball on this look was a little bit straight, so they put it in play, and then kind of one thing to another, and they scored a couple runs. But yeah, hitting, pitching, legit two-way guy. I think at the end of the day, just from what I saw, and you've seen him more, but I think he's probably more of a third base type guy, middle of the order bat. And then back of the bullpen type of guy, but I know that doesn't happen too often in pro ball. But yeah, definitely athlete with big time tools.
Without a doubt, has up to 98 throughout the summer with an absolute hammer breaking ball. I don't even know how much pitching he does on the side. And it's fascinating because you look at him, you like the third base aspect of it, but he moves really well at short. He's a 6'5" runner, one of the better metrics guys, like physicality and athleticism from that standpoint. There was some swing and miss throughout the summer, which it will be interesting to see the trade-off because it was one of the more impressive batting practices, maybe the most impressive batting practice with power to all fields that I saw throughout the summer. He just hits the ball hard and does not get cheated. Rocco Maniscalco, incredible name. Oxford High School, switch hitter. He has reclassed. And it's one of the big stories of the summer. And we'll talk about, again, Seif, been saying it for years. this is just going to become a trend. And we'll talk about a left-hander who's done the same and put himself in the top 10 pick potential. Maniscalco, I think, will be the youngest prospect in the history of the draft. He will be 17-1 draft day. And it's warranted. Switch hitter, shortstop, another guy who slows things down with ease. I think the left-handed swing's ahead of the right-handed swing right now, but I mean, he's 16 years old or just turned 16. But super athletic, loves to play the game. That's something I really enjoy watching. He likes to go out there. Another guy we talked about Kinniger. He actually hammered a ball that almost took Kinniger's head off with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball at those USA trials. But I think the age, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Maniscalco, how the age gets tied in, where he kind of situates prospect-wise. But he's at number 5 on this list, and then followed by Aiden Ruiz, who I talked about Anthony Volpe a lot like this in 2018, 2019, leading up to that draft. Everybody's favorite player, Aiden Ruiz. And at the USA trials, like, that guy was the dude. No matter what he did, it was explosive. You just had to watch him. He's only probably 5'7", 5'8", Seif, switch hitter from Queens, goes to Stony Brook School out in Long Island. But the bat to ball crew, like, the guy can really get the bat to the ball. You want him up with the game on the line. You want every ground ball going to him with the game on the line. It's probably a 6 arm across, and the release just makes it play up. Like, he can stick at shortstop. I don't know if he made an error for me all summer. Right spot in the glove at all times. The bat, we'll see just how impactful the barrel is, right? It was Willits. We were kind of talking about that a little bit with Willits. Now, Willits was almost 2 years younger than what Ruiz will be. He's a little bit old for the class at 19.3, although there's a fair amount of old guys in this class, Seif. So I think 19 is kind of the middling point. But with where we're at right now, what teams are valuing, Aiden Ruiz is in that first round conversation, and for good reason and good measure. The kid can just flat out play, and it's a high IQ guy. You know what's interesting about him, and even the runtime similar to Volpe, where his distance, the 60 time, right? The classic 100-year-old 60 time was like a 6'9", 7'0", but his splits are so much better. It's that burst, that first step, which is very similar to what Volpe was like and the instincts of it. Love what Aiden Ruiz is about. We'll be very interested to see what happens with him with age, impact, especially those super analytical teams along those lines. And then the last 4, I kind of put on like a tier, let's say 2A-ish. Keon Johnson, who started off this summer a little bit slow, a Georgia product, another Vanderbilt recruit. I think he can really pick it. It's super athletic, the upside. I think guys who are staying on Keon Johnson are going to get rewarded in the long run, because I think he's going to have a great spring and it's tons of upside. There are a couple of adjustments that his swing needed early on in the summer. I thought he got to those later on in the summer. He's super athletic. Rookie Shepard, whether or not he sticks at short, he made pretty much every play I saw. Probably more of a second baseman. I always likened him to, you got a chance to see Rookie make some plays at second, but it's kind of like Thomas.
He was one of the standouts in the game I saw. I mean, two play. He made all 3 outs on defense in 1 inning, and 2 were just really good plays. One was a instinctive feel with the glove, flip with the glove to just barely get the guy at first base. And as a hitter, he was getting on base. He's putting the ball in play. He had a really good evening, and they interviewed the kid too. And that's like, I have a son, and that's how I'd want my son to speak if he was being interviewed on live TV. I mean, the kid was super well spoken, friendly, nice, yet professional. He has a lot going for him.
You know what's interesting about him too? He kind of started as a catcher, moved in the infield, can play the outfield. He's been on the circuit similar to Emerson, where like Rookie Shepard, we've heard about this kid for 4 years now, and he had some outstanding summer. There was some swing and miss a bit throughout the summer in my looks, but you bet on a kid, right? Just what you just talked about. Like, this kid has that aura to what he does. And then wrapping up, Ethan Bass, who Illinois kid, another prep baseball All-American. I thought he had a great summer. He just kept getting better. I keep calling him, it's very similar to Coy James. So Coy James 2.0, for those in the scouting community, there's kind of some freakiness to the twitch. At times, the load can get a little bit it's just like a little bit choppy, and then all of a sudden there's explosiveness. He'll hit a home run. He can run. He can stick at shortstop. He can go to center field. There's a lot of good stuff. I thought he kept getting better throughout the summer, and he could have a huge spring. And then kind of wrapping up the top 10 with one of my favorite guys of the summer. I got a chance to see him in the spring. where he kind of came on the map. And Seif, you're going to like this because James Clark is a shortstop out of St. John Bosco. Guess where he's committed to?
Tulane or Mississippi State?
Princeton.
Oh, I like it even better. All right.
Tiger. And it's one of those where, especially after last year, Michael Oliveto, who the Tigers signed at, I think, pick 34-ish, don't quote me on that, for close to $3 million, who was committed to Yale. The Ivy Leagues are not safe anymore. We've already talked about one Stanford guy who I think has a chance to be a top 10 pick. Now we got a Princeton kid. But next to all these guys who can really defend and work out, James Clark, he was matching them. He was standing right next to Keon Johnson doing the same exact thing, and I think Keon can really go and pick it. Left-handed hitter, another guy who got some aggressive hacks off in all counts, and he plays in the Trinity League in Southern California. He's going to get all sorts of looks. I'm a huge fan of James Clark. So that is just the top 10 on the shortstops. I would say right now, Lombard, Spangler, Emerson, those are two guys kind of feel like locks for the first round. Hey, these guys are up here. Spangler, we're going to talk about the Stanford commitment, what that means. Does he go off? Where does it end up? He's at De La Salle. They produce nonstop hitters. Kinniger, Maniscalco, Ruiz, kind of that next level of these guys could really raise their status higher into the first round. But really good crew from there. Seif, I know I'm talking a lot about these high school guys, but it's the next tier. I just wanted to mention some of these names because I thought they had good summers that are super interesting. Matt Ponatoski, who, after seeing him pitch, he's a QB1 Seif. He's going to University of Kentucky as a quarterback. He's been starting at Moeller High School since he was in like 5th grade, putting up numbers. Left-handed hitter. Obviously, he just oozes confidence without being overbearing about it. But he hops on the mound as well, and he's 93-97 with 2 wicked breaking balls. I'm kind of valuing the arm with him stepping away from football at some point, but he can hit too. There's power there. Here are 3 that I want to give to you, Seif. Brody Schumacher, who's Skip Schumacher's son. He's Santa Margarita High School, was the Trinity League Player of the Year as a sophomore. He gave him some great run times. I thought he didn't get quite as many looks throughout the summer. It was almost like, oh yeah, this guy's here. And I liken it to J.D. Dix was the same way. J.D. Dix, like his draft summer, like it was kind of like he was on the side. Like he would get thrown in there at the end. And then J.D. Dix signed for $3 million. He's off to an incredible start with the D-backs doing his thing. Brody Schumacher is a guy to really lock in on. Trey Ebel, one of the younger guys in the class. I think he'll be 17-9. The brother,
the game I saw, I really liked him too. He was one I was going to throw out there in a little bit.
He's got big league bloodlines. Sometimes you just got to close your eyes and listen to it. The ball comes off his bat kind of different. And I'm sure he's using some big league lumber, which is helpful, but he's quick twitch. He was in that Corona lineup with Billy Carlson and his brother Brady and with Seth Hernandez, Ethan Bingaman, Anthony Murphy, who we'll talk about here in a sec. But I think he's going to be one where the more guys keep looking like, oh yeah, I do like this guy. Just how much do we like him right now? And then the last guy I want to toss in is Taj Marchand, who is from James Island High School in South Carolina. Ole Miss recruit, was a standout at the Future Games a year ago. I love this kid. 2-way, he's 90-92 on the mound. If you told me he went off to college and played shortstop and then hit pro ball kind of like DeGrom and started pitching and was 93-96, I would believe it because he looked the part on the mound. But what's interesting about him is he'll be, I think, 17-11, so young for the age. He just needs to add some strength to the frame, but the ball was there all summer. And it's a pretty big stretch. Kind of, if you're really looking at it, it's kind of like a mini version of Billy Carlson. So Billy Carlson needed some pretty big stretch. Billy was more advanced, but Taj gets that stretch because all he needs to add is a little bit of strength, but makes plays. He's super athletic. So those are some of the guys. Any of those guys that you want to chat on? I know you just talked about Ebel. Any questions you have about those shortstops?
No, Ebel is really impressive in the game I saw too. Just a really balanced approach. Knows what he's doing in the box. Athletic. They had him run down the line. He looked like an average-ish runner, maybe a little bit below, but maybe that was just the ball in the situation. But really impressive guy. Obviously, he has the big league bloodlines, like you mentioned. The other guys, you're probably going in that direction, but I really like Bo Peterson. So if it's time to talk about Bo Peterson, I'm going to talk about Bo Peterson. I mean, Absolutely love the swing. More third baseman, obviously, than shortstop, but absolutely love the swing, hit ability and power. He used all fields with hard contact. I mean, if you're talking hitters, for me, again, one game look, he's got to be one of the top 10 high school hitters in this class for sure.
Oh yeah, he's locked into our top 10. I'm thinking about like he's corner guy, so like kind of have him situated. He's at the top of the corner bats, so similar to the way Nyans was last year. He can probably play shortstop. I always, every time I go out there, maybe it's because he's from Kansas, I'm like, this is like that Alex Gordon, like Nebraska, like he's just gonna get in the box, and there's just a professional approach to what he does. And I love the way he sees the ball, and love the advancements he's made over the last year. But seems like an easy first rounder. We'll see what happens with him. We will also get to see him in Miami at the 3rd annual Prep Baseball All-American Game. For those of you out there, September 20th, be sure to tune in. But yes, spot on. Bo Peterson, dude can flat out hit. And he also pitches Seif. He's another guy who's 91, 94. Kind of, hey, game 6 of bracket play. Let's throw Bo Peterson in here to save the day and do our thing. So he can go out there and compete. We're going to come back to those outfielders where we'll talk about Anthony Murphy and all those guys. I want to go to the left-handed pitchers because we probably could have started the show with it. And I think that's like the biggest theme of this year. And I've never been excited as I am for a group of lefties as I am for this year's draft. And the 3 at the top, Gio Rojas from Florida Stoneman Douglas High School, Carson Bowman from South Carolina Southside Christian. He's a Wake Forest recruit. And then Logan Schmidt, who's a reclass from 27 to 26. Those 2 are top 10 potential picks. And it's going to be interesting. Like, is there a chance that we have a 1-1 type guys? And I know it has not been something that has been done in a while with the high school arms, but like Gio Rojas, who you got a chance to see a little bit there, up to 98 throughout the summer. He had a monster spring for Stoneman Douglas. He's thrown a lot of innings, but 2,800 on the sweeping slider. Some feel for the changeup. He kept showing it and working on it throughout the summer, which is not easy to do, right? You're on the national circuit. You're in front of hundreds of scouts every time out. He was still willing to go to his 3rd pitch and kind of get some work in and show solid feel for an average changeup. What I like about Gio, one, he's an incredible athlete. And he can hit kind of similar to the way Seth Hernandez could step in the box and do some damage. Gio would be a 2-way at Miami where he's committed. He would get out there and hit. He gave a lot of 4-1s down the line for me from the right side. So we're talking about a pretty good athlete with some twitch. I think that his slider has a chance to really jump over the next year. And when you sit down and talk to him, just how intuitive he is to the game and what's going on, because he has a relaxed atmosphere, confident, upbeat, looks like he's having a good time on the mound. But when you actually sit in and peel through a little bit of the layers, this kid knows what he's doing. He's out there looking to disrupt timing, looking to get ahead, looking to impose his will against hitters. But I do think the velo is going to be there. He'll be up close to triple digits, if not triple digits next spring. But I think that slider is going to jump a grade, and I think that's something that will really help him. I know, did you get a chance to check him out at all?
Yeah, he was really good. I mean, he's in this look, again, 1 inning look more thrower than pitcher. But again, he's 17 years old, right? It was 1 look. But I mean, I love the angle on his fastball. He's got that 3/4 release, just drives it downhill right in there. And then, as you mentioned, the sweeper slider, it had a ton of break. He didn't control it, but again, 1 look, 1 inning, end of the summer, probably a bit gassed, but super impressive.
And these 3 we're talking about here, somebody's going to have a really hard decision. And these are what scouting directors get paid the big bucks for, right? Like you go in, like you're going to have to choose between these 3. Bowman's the most polished of these 3. And
he looked it too. He was sharp.
It's a workhorse. Like it's as workhorse frame as you see. He rolls up at East Coast Pro. He went out, and I'm talking those pants were painted on, and it's stacked, burly chested, but like it's an athlete. And he knows what he's doing with the profiles of his pitches, and he's working downhill, fastball, curveball, slider. He even went, like, just for giggles, he went 88-mile-an-hour left-on-left changeup to kind of close things out in what was an absolute stellar performance at East Coast Pro. But 6'4", 215, he knows what he's doing. It has probably 4 above-average pitches when it comes down to it. But he'll pitch at 94. He's comfortable being at 94. He has 97. but he doesn't need to go there, and he'll kind of toy with what he's got there. I don't even think you saw what his best outing was. It was lights out stuff at East Coast Pro, although he was there's another 27 will start our All-American game, Connor Salerno, who that was I think he got a standing ovation at East Coast Pro from everybody in attendance. But we'll talk about him on another show. Finally, wrapping things up, Logan Schmidt, who was stellar to end the summer. Now he's more than a year younger than these other two, which will be something fascinating to follow. But it's 94-97 with 3 pitches for strikes. I kept early on in the summer comparing him to the Montgomery guy was with the Diamondbacks. Yankees took him from South Carolina. You know Montgomery, big leaguer. Anyway, kind of similar lefty, big body, 6'4". Shoot, all these guys are 6'4". But it comes out easy over that high front side, and he was flat dominant in my last look with 3 pitches for strikes and just crowding guys. And it's always fascinating to see, right? Hey, this guy's got good stuff. And then you see, wow, this development curve, this is happening in a hurry. And honestly, Seif, these 3, you could flip a coin, and whoever takes guy 1 will have plenty of great evidence to say, this is why we took him. And then the next guy who gets taken, that team will say, oh, they missed. We got this guy because of this, this, and this, right? You just kind of put together your own biases. And I think anybody's biases right now, you've made the right decision.
Yeah, I like the order you have them in right now, too. And that's the order that they showed out the other evening with Boleman 1, Rojas right behind him, and then Schmidt. And I didn't know Schmidt was the youngest of the group in young first class, but Schmidt, I just wrote in my notes, like the most projectable. Love the loose arm, 3/4 slot loose arm, 95, 96, 97, 79, 80 slider. It all works. It's all there. So, like, as far as ceiling, I'd probably go Schmidt. But as far as I'm winning the game tomorrow, Boleman was he was good. 92, 94. Plus curveball with really good depth, slider change, strike thrower, work quick. He's everything you want. I mean, he'd go to a SEC school right now as a freshman and win. Like, I'm not saying he's going to dominate, but he would win. He's that type of developed guy. And Rojas is kind of right in the middle of those two. There's ceiling there. There's also present really good stuff. So, again, I like the order you have them in now, but to what you're saying as well is like by the end of the spring, that could be a totally different order. But they're all 3 are top half the first round talents.
Seif, let me ask you this. What would they have to do to be 1-1? Where do they have to go in the 1-1 stratosphere?
Rojas, for me, I mean, he certainly has a talent, showed the stuff in this 1 inning, right? But he's got to spot the fastball. He has to have something that he can go arm side to because he's got angle. He's got angle to his glove side with his fastball, and he's got the slider, that goes left to right as well. There wasn't anything that's either on this look. There wasn't anything he was elevating or run that he could run away from a right-handed hitter. Now, he wasn't throwing his changeup, so that could be the pitch, little circle change, but he would have to develop better command and just that third pitch. Boleman, I'm not sure. I mean, gosh, what does he have to develop? Not a whole lot because it's all there. Like you said, 4 above average pitches. I saw plus curveball. His fastball had average velocity. It looked a little bit straight, but he commands it too, so it's going to play better than the velocity. So he's got 2 pitches that are there on this 1 inning look that I saw. I think he only threw like 15 pitches. So it was a quick, and he's working quick. It was literally a 2-minute look, right?
Well, it's 2 distinct different breaking balls and 2 different fastball shapes. Like, he will use them and pair them as weapons, which I'm with you. Like, what else you have to, like, this guy's ready for AA, and he competes. Like, he checks all the boxes.
And I like him, but I'm not saying I didn't like it, but he's more of an arm strike guy. He was just overpowering the baseball because he is big and strong, right? So he just powers it in there. I would prefer, if I'm going 1-1, a guy like Rojas, where there's some looseness, right, and then some really a quick arm, things like that. But Boleman's good, man. He's really good.
It's so, like, what's interesting, like, the Rojas has like a Johan Santana feel to him. Bowman's arm action is more Santana to me. Like, Santana was like a little bit shorter to the ear. It's again, we're gonna
higher, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit higher. We're going to be talking ad nauseum for good reason about these guys because, again, I was blown away by Schmidt at the end of the summer. It was another standing ovation type deal, and we have not had a trio of lefties like this where it's just like so in your face potential top 10 guys. It's going to be awesome to follow. Now below them, it's still a ton of fascination. And we're going to dive into that fascination for you here, Seif. Sean Duncan is a lefty from Canada. Not the same Sean Duncan from prep baseball that you and I work with, but he's 18-2 at draft, super young. He threw in the draft league this summer for that Canadian team. I don't know if you got a chance to see that.
I did. Yep.
It's really good stuff. I think he has a chance to continue to raise his stock throughout the year. Bo Holloway is from Tennessee, who's one of the more, I would say, polarizing, unique prospects because, and I think he actually threw in that game. It's fastball metrically, it is near unicorn fastball. When it's on, there's some funk to it. It's a full stretch look. The secondary is not quite there, and he can spray it at times. But when it's on, it is a very unique fastball profile. He's a 6'5" lefty who throws upper 90s. Those do not just grow on trees. So he's one to continue to follow. Chandler Hart, lefty from Allen High School in the DFW area, really good athlete, can move well, 3-pitch mix. Spencer Evans, who's a loose lefty you're just talking about, the more he's showing the ability to throw strikes consistently, huge upside. There's that top 3 day 1 type talent. Connor Langdon, we will talk a lot about the state of Georgia throughout the next year because I think it's a talented group. He's a lefty from Georgia, very similar. Drew Christine was a huge winner on the circuit, but East Coast Pro, he had a dominant outing where I kind of likened it to Will Kirk. Remember from a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I do. Will Kirk from Virginia.
He's now at Mississippi State. Just 3 pitches for a strike. Actually, Christine's secondary is probably more advanced. He spun it well, but he was dominant at East Coast Pro. It was more of that 88 to 91, touch to 92. It's the old adage of in the spring, if all of a sudden he's touching 4s, he's got the pitchability profile. It's a kind of a wiry frame. He can jump. Now, the last one I want to talk about here, Brody Bamilla, who's from Massachusetts, Bishop Feehan High School, 6'7" lefty, up to 98. Now the injury, I don't know the exact injury status for him, but I just want to make you aware of this is a very high profile, high ceiling guy, committed to the University of Texas.
Jack Bauer 2.0, maybe.
Wow.
I mean, he's not from Illinois, but I mean, I want to go out and see a guy throw 101 from the left side. So that's always a good time.
I love that call. You know what? We'll put Bamilla on Bauer watch. We have placed him onto Bauer watch. And then I just want to wrap up with the lefties with some other guys. That Bryce Krennick, who threw 80 innings throughout the high school season, was great. Threw a ton of innings throughout the summer. I kind of put it in as my helium guy because I think he can really pitch. It's kind of an old school type lefty, 6'4", 215. He doesn't care that there's 1,000 scouts behind there looking like, right, and everybody's in the pit like, hey, throw a change up, doing the thing. He has no worry and time for you. All he's worried about are posting zeros and getting out of innings. And it's very refreshing to see a kid go out there like, hey, I start the game. I intend on ending the game. But he was probably more 88 to 92. Houston area kid, Katie Taylor, like he's going to be probably touching 96 next spring. Keep him in mind. Sean Logie, who's a Jersey kid, huge upside. He's up at 95, 96. He's a 6'5" lefty. The fastball command is not there right now, which you can't give up on lefties like that. He can really spin it, 2,700 plus on the slider. He's a good one. Finn Waters, who will be a very intriguing prospect. I think in these 2 innings at East Coast Pro, Seif, had like 13 middle fastball whiffs. It's a reliever profile. It's probably like 6 foot-ish, but metrically, it is explosive stuff. I'll be curious. I was talking to somebody where, hey, this is a reliever, right? And you send him off as a reliever. You're like, oh, he goes in 1, 2, 3. Hey, go another inning. And then all of a sudden you're at UT and he's gone through 7 innings. And you keep calling him a reliever, but he goes 7 innings every time out. So I'll be curious to see what happens with him. And then Travis Sample, a Mansfield kid, TCU commit, left-hander from Texas. I know I said the depth is not there. There's always a bunch of lefties, and there's going to be guys who grow, but can't say enough about those trio at the top. And Seif, there's no college lefties right now that are just like kicking in the door.
I was just going to say, good thing there's a lot of prep lefties because there are not college lefties. There's Cole Carlin, who could be a second rounder. Ethan McElvain, we talked about before on the show. He's going from Vandy to Arkansas. He could be a second rounder. Wes Mendez at Florida State. He looked like he was going to be a first rounder early in the spring, and then the second half of spring just became very hittable and just very, very average. But it is a very thin class. And so I was looking at that. And so I went back to the 2023 draft. I'm like, did Major League Baseball steal a bunch of great prep left-handers in 23, right, that are now not in college? No, there's only 2 of them, and I forgot their names. There are only 2 guys, 2 prep lefties in the top 3 rounds. And so, where were they in 2023, Shooter? Because they're certainly not in college in 2026.
Here's what's interesting about that, and it's something to follow for this year, value-wise. Cam Johnson was one of the top guys to get to campus, has struggled. And you get to see him struggle a bit in the Cape. He went from LSU to Oklahoma. He has struggled and kind of turned down a fair amount coming out of high school. Dietz at Arkansas, kind of scuffle with some injuries that had set him back. You have to see him in the Cape. We'll see what happens this year. McElvain the same way. So the 2 of them will be at Arkansas. They were kind of big names. They have huge stuff. Has not kind of come, but maybe it happens this spring. We'll see where that heads to. So those are kind of 3 big names from this class. Adam Hatchman, who kind of dealt with some injuries. He's Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, where so it's just they have not developed to where it's slam dunk going into the spring.
Right, and Kyle Johnson was a 2-way guy at Duke, not Virginia, right? So there were some other ones, but they certainly have not panned out the way maybe it was thought. So.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: the agents of these high school guys most certainly know that the college lefties are not out there, and the way that teams were diving after prep shortstops, I don't think you can let these 3 lefties pass you by very early, because you're not going to get some talent like them later on. But turning the page, let's go over to outfielders. We'll keep going back from the pitching side, and we'll wrap up with the right-handers. But I told you at the start of the show, I think the outfielders, this is where the depth is in this year's class. And it is some very exciting athletes who can go get it. Brady Harris at the top, probably down 25 pounds or so. And you got to see him in the game the other night. Had a nice game, bat to ball. We've kind of called him very similar to Dylan Cruz for a while now. But I was really impressed by what Brady was able to do each stop. Now, he was on the circuit everywhere. And I think when I saw him in February, he's probably closer to 200, 205, physical, but can really move. Probably closer to 175 towards the end of the summer. So I think you're going to see a much stronger, more mature version of Brady come next spring, which is why he's a first-round talent. But kid just goes out and gets it. What I love watching him in some side work was I think he's got a chance to stick at center field. It's a quick first step. There's burst there. Everything he does is crisp. I think he made some adjustments throughout the summer with the bat. He was definitely worn down at times, which I knew that going throughout. This kid's kind of worn out. And then you get a chance to see him the other night, and the bat to ball's there. He's an absolute gamer. He can really play. So that's why he's at the top of our list. Then we slide into.
I like his bat speed, Shooter. The thing that stood out, and again, I have a very limited background on these guys, but the thing that stood out with Harris is just the bat speed, plus the even better bat speed. Hits the ball hard. He got caught. He got thrown out stealing second. Didn't look like the greatest runner, but as you said, these guys are tired. A lot of factors, but the bat speed was very obvious. That was impressive.
That's awesome that you saw it, because it's going to be even more obvious come next spring, because I know where he can get to, and he's already a first-round talent. And I'm excited because he's one of my favorite players in this class. Huge group coming in now, Seif. So these guys are going to. The scouting community, we're going to be looking to separate these guys. So EJ Booth, Mississippi kid, left-handed hitter Trevor Condon, Noah Wilson from Tennessee, Ryan Harwood from Arizona, Blake Bowen from California, Anthony Murphy from California, Kevin Roberts Jr. from Mississippi, James Tronstein, California, Malachi Washington from Georgia. Those are just kind of the top 10. Now, probably looking at a top 15-ish where these guys are in a grouping here, because Javorsky Lane, AJ Curry, Andrew Giles, Nate Davis, Gunnar Alm, Caden Powell, it goes on. But EJ Booth at number 2, the bat the ball skills is super loose. He's a 6'3" runner, Seif. He's about 6 foot 205, like looks like a fullback, but can really run. The ball, there's an old school, almost like, I don't want to put this on, but like a Tony Gwynn type, the looseness of the hands, moves the barrel around. But the thing that EJ has going for him, everything looks easy. And then all of a sudden it's 105, 107 off the bat. And it's like, did he even flick the ball there? And I think he can even get into a better pre-pitch position, which will allow him to get even better. He just turned 18 right at his draft. Trevor Condon, I don't know if you've seen videos, one of the more unique setups in the class where it's a full pre-pitch reverse, what am I saying? Reverse toe tap type deal setup. But it is electric back speed, and his ability to start and stop is really impressive. Plays the game hard at all times. I mean, talking 4-1, 4-2 turns. I think I was 405 to 4-1, no matter what happened. I think he's got a chance to really go do it. Guys are going to love him. Kind of similar. I said he's ahead of Slater DeBrun for me right now. So Trevor Condon's ahead of Slater DeBrun was last year. So we'll see what happens with that. Noah Wilson, who came off a hand injury from the spring, was dominant at the NPI, where it's like, hey, this guy's got a chance to be a first rounder. He's 6'3", 205. He's got crazy ground force in the box. Heavy barrel. There's a hit power profile, but can really run. He's going to be one to follow. Ryan Harwood from Arizona, who, Seif, if you want to, you got a chance to see him in the game as well. Kind of looks like,
yeah, he was good. Big, strong guy. He wobbles the baseball. 6'3", 215 left-hand hitter. Really good one. And we're getting a couple more guys. You'll get to probably my favorite guy from that game. But keep going.
So Harwood, from a year ago, he needed to make some adjustments at the plate. He made those when I saw him this spring. It became like, hey, this guy's got a chance to really catapult. He took great bats in the game, left on left. But the power outputs there, the hit power, I think he's probably, and he's an A&M recruit, very similar to Jace Lavalette. It is a very similar profile, except Harwood's looser. It just comes more natural than the stiff Jace. Blake Bowen's going to be one of the more intriguing, polarizing follows in this class. He was, I think, a 4-star linebacker, stepped away from football just to do baseball, 5-star stuff. It's as good of an arm as there is in the outfield. Center fielder, he's a 6'3" runner, big, fat, powerful, 6'3", 215. He might be 6'3", 225. The bat the ball, the swing, there is some swing and miss, but I think because the upside's so exciting and the kid is just absolute nails. The makeup's through the roof. So guys are going to love him. Be curious to see what happens. He's going to be at JSerra. He's going to get a zillion looks next year, where you kind of figure out, is this more second round, or is this guy's tools kind of bump him up? He's committed to Oregon State. He is back-to-back with who presumably is one of your favorites here, because I will go into a talk on him in a second, but Anthony Murphy from Corona High School, who you got a chance to see. It's super twitchy. What did you have on him?
Yeah, he was a good one. He's not the guy I'm thinking about, but yeah, he showed out really well. He casts his barrel a little bit, which I don't love, but obviously you can learn on that. Plus arm, he's got some good pop. Squared the ball 3. He crushed. His first time, but he absolutely destroyed a ball. It was caught in Dodger Stadium, medium Dodger Stadium for a flyout. But he absolutely laid into it. And then he had a single up the middle of his last at bat. But again, I don't love the swing, but he put the barrel on the ball, and that's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But yes, very good athlete, very good player.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a lot of that. There will be some electricity, and then there's some swing and miss. He's as good of an actual defender as there is in center field in this class. He made some sensational plays. Great first step. Any fly ball when Murph is out in the outfield is there's no way it's a hit. This guy just steals triples. They just die when he's out there. But the swing and miss is interesting. He'll be 19-2 at draft. Corona High School, where they've a ton of looks. Looking at I would say third roundish floor. How much higher can he push it throughout the spring? He'll have his chances. Kevin Roberts Jr., Jackson Prep, who kind of similar profile to Connor Griffin, the fact 6'5", 6'6", square shouldered. He'll be 18 at draft. So again, he and EJ Booth are actually very similar age. There's a lot of unteachable. in Kevin Roberts Jr.
Tall, athletic, plus runner, 6'5", 215. Yeah, I mean, the bat is a little bit raw, but man, there's a ton to like right there. That's for sure.
It's sensational basketball player as well. So
I
like
can see
tons of athleticism. He's committed to Florida. He actually had a big time home run at the USA trials, which is where Roberts has a little bit of lack of polish. James Tronstein is true polish, and he's kind of been Mighty Mouse. What's interesting about Tronny is like at 5'10", his exit velos are always triple digits. Like always, his foul balls are triple digits. Almost to the point where like I want to grab this bat and cut it in half and make sure it's not metal underneath. Moves really well, really heady player. Had some good takes throughout the summer. He's another one like kind of similar age at 18 too. So those guys are more than a year younger than Anthony Murphy. So I'll be curious to see what happens with that. And then Malachi Washington at Parkview High School in Georgia. Incredible spring at Parkview, All-American spring. Did not have the break the same summer. Like there were some adjustments being made at the plate where like it looked like he was toying around with his swing. Things were just different. The timing was not there. Everything was uphill, fillet type stuff. But what comes to the park every day? His athleticism, he can really go get in the outfield. So that was there at all times. But Seif, you got a chance to see him in a one-off look. What did you see there?
Man, I loved him. I had a lot of favorites from the game, but if I had to pick one, he might be the one I picked. Man, he's an 80 runner. He's a plus defender, plus bat speed, good balance in the box, put the bat on the ball. So I didn't see any of the difficulties you had mentioned. Again, one game, 5 at bats, 4 at bats, whatever. But I absolutely just love this guy. Can play the game. So many good things. If he's not a top 2 round guy, I don't know. But again, it was a one game look. But he's got all the tools. Maybe the power hasn't developed yet. And he's 6 foot, 185-ish. So maybe he's never going to have better than average or slightly above average power. But everything he has will impact the baseball game.
I mean, he's from Georgia. He's at Parkview Power Program. They're looking at like a second rounder is like an easy going into the spring type deal. But it kind of just ties into how much depth there is in this class where we're talking about these guys. Like they're kind of, hey, yes, we're going vertical here, but it's really horizontal. And the fact that the build out is like these guys are all in a group. They're all going to go off into the spring, and this is an exciting bunch, the same way the shortstops were last year. This is even beyond like Andrew Giles, a Nevada kid, committed to Oregon. I think he's got a real chance to hit. And it's one of those guys where, hey, he's probably not a center field profile the same way that a Tronstein or Malachi Washington, Blake Bowen are. But this dude's going to rake. And if he ever, whether it's next year or he goes off to Oregon, that's a guy you kind of put onto a higher level profile, higher level tier because he's going to really hit. I love the mechanics of the swing. Everything's tight from the left side. AJ Curry, a really smooth left-handed stroke. He also pitches. He's more of a corner guy. Everything comes easy, but it's big power. He'll be down in San Diego area. He'll get tons of looks. He was a prep baseball All-American. Javorsky Lane, who I'm going to say here, he's the same way I talked about Nyans last year. Nobody got screwed on balls and strikes or on bad strikes calls like Lane did throughout the summer in my looks. And some of his at-bats got kind of put into tough spots because, right, you go 1-1 to 1-2 versus 2-1. Like, that's a huge difference. Now, there is some swing and miss there. He's a former catcher, so he could do some stuff behind the plate, but could go out to center field. He actually moved really well in the outfield throughout the summer. Nobody took as impressive of a batting practice as Javorsky Lane. He has the biggest raw power of any of these guys. Seif, and that goes back to last year, some of the stuff he was doing at Long Beach. But whereas at the USA stuff, right, guys are kind of scraping the wall, getting during BP work on their stuff. He's sending stuff over scoreboards. So I'm really curious to see what happens with Javorsky Lane, another guy who was 18-1. A lot of the outfielders are kind of young. Did you get a chance to see anything from him at all?
Yeah, he had a tough night. Struggled with spin. Had a couple strikeouts. Didn't hit the ball in the infield. So it was a tough look. But I didn't see the huge raw power that you're talking about. But certainly a great athlete, ton of potential.
Yeah, without and I think that the team, somebody's going to take him probably pretty early. Like teams that don't like him are going to be like, oh, the swing and miss on the circuit, right? The whiff rate, this, whatever. And the other one's going to be like, we'll deal with that. We'll figure that out because if we click on this, it's super high upside. Now, a couple others, Nate Davis, who he kind of scuffled throughout the summer. I think he has super high upside, kind of similar to Malachi Washington, but he's left-handed hitter. But the bat the ball wasn't there quite as much on the circuit. Center fielder type. Like if you're dreaming out, you really want it to be Braylon Payne, but it was not quite there throughout the summer. But he's at Bishop Moore High School in the Orlando area. He will get plenty of looks next year. In the spring, I think he's got a chance absolutely to be a day one type guy. Caden Powell, who was not really at some of the bigger events late. He was at the NPI for us because it was early on in the summer. He's also a quarterback. Seif, he's 6'4", like 250. He plays quarterback. He moves really well. It's a big power profile. So like you look at it and you think, oh, this is like a first baseman type. No, he's like super athletic. He's like a 6'8" runner. Hoping to see him at the Super 60 and kind of announce himself heading into the spring. And then I'll wrap up with Gunnar Alm from Polk County High School in North Carolina. I always like getting North Carolina guys on because they always seem to blow up throughout the spring. Alm is the oldest of this group at 19.7. Having said that, he's not super old physiologically. Is that a word? Physiologically?
That is a word, yes.
Like it's not like, hey, this is a mature look. This guy's yes, his age is super old, but huge swings, always on time, against all sorts of arms. He's a 6'5" runner, can go get in center field. Dude is not scared. He steps into the box looking to do damage at all times. And I think even though he is older for the class, it's not mature, right? Like there's more that's going to come out of it. And I think he's got a chance to really capture some headlines next spring, although the guys and the algorithms who are not friendly to the age and are not diving into the we need a physiological algorithm. Like, I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't need one because I don't even want to say the word, so I'm good.
We need a whoop score. But really talented outfield group. There's a bunch of other guys I think have a chance to continue making some jumps. There's some corner guys that we'll kind of talk about along the same lines of a kid from Wisconsin who so he'll be at our All-American game in Miami. But Dom Santarelli, who
big fan. I
have to say, between all of our Wisconsin crew, Vinny, Andy Soroka, like going to bat for Dom Santarelli for the All-American game since January, just saying this kid is special. And getting a chance to see it up close and personal where it is super physical frame, Seif. Like he would fit into a triple A uniform today and not look.
He'd fit into as a linebacker at University of Wisconsin. Oh my gosh.
Is it a Schwarber-esque frame? Because the kid can really hit. It's big power, huge exit velocities, the metrics across the board. How close to Schwarber do you think that is?
It's a different – I mean, it's a strong physical frame like Schwarber, but Santarelli is just more like Greco-Roman wrestler, right? Like it's that type of frame. Like, holy, look at this. Now, Schwarber's a very good athlete, so I love Schwarber. He's at the top of my draft list when I was a Phillies area scout. So this is nothing to slight Schwarber, but Santarelli is just a different looking athlete, man. He is just jacked, proportioned. He can run. He can jump. He must have jumped 3 feet in the air for a bad throw in the first inning when everybody's still feeling their nerves out early in that All-American game. But just an impressive night. Just hits the ball hard. He hit a 3-hopper up the middle that the center fielder had to go back on and round off to cut it off in the gap. That is how hard he hit. And it bounced 3 times before it hit the infield-outfield line. This guy just smokes balls. I think it was like 105.8, whatever they said. But, man, it's a nice swing, linebacker build, just impressive athlete. But there's not a ton of projection there because he's a man already.
What's fascinating is there's a kid, TJ McQuillan, kind of a similar profile from Illinois, who's also outstanding. Took some really good at bats. Another fun year in the Midwest, Seif. I might be shipping you off to a couple spots throughout the spring if you're willing. But let's shift over to the right-handed pitchers to kind of wrap things up. And Florida is so back. Seif, there are after 2 years, like, oh, we got to find this guy. Yeah, there's a couple. Florida, the amount of depth, and I kind of put it in the article, California versus Florida. It's like going to be a battle. Like the big 4 states, Florida, California, Georgia, Texas, like they are represented very well on the arm side. We've moved Coleman Borthwick to number 1 with regards to the right-handed pitchers. And Borthwick was a prep baseball All-American last year. He's committed to Auburn. He's from South Walton High School in the Panhandle. I'm looking forward to going down there next spring. 6'6", 250. Seif.
Oof.
And he can hit. He can hit. And it's country strong for so long, right? I think all the bigger kids, right? You start at 12, he's just big and strong. And then 14, he's just bigger than everybody. And then 16, he's just bigger. Everybody will catch up.
He's still big.
He's still bigger than everybody, and he hasn't stopped getting better. And that was something where East Coast Pro, it was a loud statement from him after a long spring, right? They probably started in January, keeps going. He's 95 to 98, and the slider had really ticked up for me. And it was the first time where I looked at it, and I hate to do this, Seif, and it's one of the big reasons why he moved number one. Like, there was a Skeens-esque feel to what he was doing. That big frame, bullying fastball, low slot, high height, where he's going to have a chance to make adjustments. But his slider had jumped up probably even beyond like what Skeens was throwing in high school. But like, wow, the kid's not scared. He hops on the mound, and I do not say it lightly. It was very impressive.
Well, he's number one, and if he's number one over the next guy, who I really like from the game, then Borthwick has to be really good. So.
And like, this is one in 1A, because Caden Wechter, who I'm surprised you even remember, because he only threw 4 pitches in that quick outing.
All 4 sunk about a foot. He threw all strikes, long, loose righty. I mean, live arm, pounded the zone. Again, four or 5 pitches in the 1 inning. It was just a great inning. Those are the guys you want to coach. Those are the guys get pitching coaches promoted, because they throw strikes and theirs is good. So I think he threw 1 slider, was 88. I mean, this just really elite inning. Again, 4 pitches, but I saw what I saw, and there was a ton to like.
And this kid who plays shortstop at Jesuit High School, like, he is an absolute leader. Another high IQ, high makeup, great bloodlines. Jesuit, which is a great staff. Wilson Anderson, another huge arm, who I would bet Wilson Anderson on that Jesuit staff will be up to triple digits. I think a couple tweaks on the fastball profile and kind of the metrics will really help him, but it's a starter profile. Jesuit's going to be very good. Surprise, surprise. Seif, they're kind of a factory. Shout out Lance McCullers.
I've heard. Yes, I've heard.
But Wechter, like, it's the competitiveness. Like, you'd like even more just being around him. Like, go in, like, that guy squeezes your hand. Like, I walk away from a handshake from Caden Wechter. Like, I think I may have just broken a couple metacarpals or whatever you got going on in your hand. But at 3, Matt Ponatoski, who I think the upside for him as the QB1, he's a big-time Kentucky football recruit, 93, 97. His spin metrics are huge. I think it's more like his ability to get to another level without football, and just the moxie that he has as QB1 will be super fascinating. Then we get into Georgia, Seif, because this group, like, these are all guys, hey, they have a chance to be first rounders. And Matthew Sharman, one of the best movers in the class, really dynamic down the mound, ultra competitive, plus changeup. The breaking ball, I think the slider is going to tick up throughout the spring. So we'll be talking about him probably in that back half, maybe in the back half of the first round, probably in that usual honey area for prep righties in that 30 to 40 range. But he's an absolute winner. Has posted 92, 94 since Georgia Dugout Club, February 10th or whatever it was. But he goes out and it's ho-hum. And I'll say about him, Seif, I think at least at 2 of his outings throughout the summer on my looks, he was the guy who got rained on, right? Like, the clouds opened up, and like, his inning, he had to be out there while it was raining, and it did not matter. It did not matter in the least to him. He still went out there, had clean innings. I think the way he moves, guys are going to love him. He's chased by Blake Bryant, who had an explosive East Coast Pro at the NPI, and even a year ago, I guess the last 2 years, he was one of my favorite guys to follow. And I liken him to, I always talk about Anthony Davis, basketball player. You know, Anthony Davis with the, who is he? He's on the Mavericks now. Oh, sorry about that trade. But he was a point guard, and then he shot up to 6'10". So he had all the skills of a point guard, but now he's 7-footer who can dribble and shoot, right? Blake Bryant had all the pitchability, and now the velocity is up to 96. So everything where he had a plus change, feel for 2 different breaking balls. Every game he goes out there, he's looking to go 7 innings, which he did at the NPI. Clemson recruit, but he's 6'5", 6'6". Now he's up to 96. He's going to continue to gain that traction. I love the pitchability. He's got a huge upside. Jensen Hirschkorn, kind of along the same lines of Bryant. He was at our Future Games a year ago. Kind of a short takeaway, 6'6", 6'7", actually more 6'7". big time basketball player. Obviously, Seif, I like that athleticism. Jensen Hirschkorn. This was guy Eric Coat. I mean, it was 9 up, 9 down. I think he struck out 9. Like it was just like he was another standing ovation from the scouting community at how good he was. 93 and 96, 3 pitches for strikes. Dad's a coach. He's checking all sorts of boxes. Denton Lord, who you got a chance to see. I mean, he's been thrown since January. At the NPI, that was the best right-hander in the class. Like that look, 94, 97, 4 pitches for a strike. The breaking ball is starting to separate. It's steep. 6'7", 6'8". He's another guy from Florida. Huge stuff. Trey Rangel, who I don't know if you got a chance to see him.
I did. Yeah, he was good. I mean, it's the control is touch and go, but he's got nasty stuff. He was loose delivery, more of a slinger thrower type. So I'm not sure if that's the perfect starter profile, but I mean, it was 96, 97 plus extension, just nasty stuff. Kind of a spike changeup and a sweeping slider, but he threw it wasn't the cleanest inning. I think it was a scoreless inning, but it wasn't it was a longer 18-20 pitch inning. But yeah, he certainly is up here where he belongs. Good arm, talented kid.
It's a ton of data. It just pushes forward. He's going to be able to get swings and misses, kind of similar to McCullers in leaning on the breaking ball. I keep just saying Jared Jones, who is a SoCal kid. It's Jared Jones with better spin. Jared Jones probably better, more command of the fastball, but Trey Rangel has the ability to fall behind 3-0 and come back and strike you out, which you're going to pay for some stuff you're able to get swings and misses with. So it would be very fascinating to see him. Really good athlete. Dad's head football coach, AD at the Colony High School in Texas, but a really good crop of Texan arms where he will be in the mix with those guys. Eli Hurst, which probably high on this list just stuff-wise at 6'6" from the state of Washington. More of a future push. Like I think the upside, he's still got levels that he can get to through a ton of strikes. I think the fastball is going to jump more. It's more in that probably 88 to 92. I think next spring we could be looking at a guy who's kind of touching into the 95, 96, where it's a true starter profile. His breaking ball made a jump late in the summer. I think he's going to have to add some teeth. I think probably a slider is in his future where he'll be able to have a curveball and slider, but it's a starter profile. Jake Carbaugh, surprise, surprise, another big Florida arm. He's one of the younger arms here. He's at 18-1, so more than a year younger than Trey Rangel. 6'4", 215. I probably saw 4 of his outings. I think the world of Jake Carbaugh. I think the upside's there. I think he has a chance to have a huge spring, 92, 95 with the fastball. I love the changeup, even though the saucer slider is in there. So a 3-pitch mix from a super low slot Seif. If you got a chance to watch him on some video, I think you're going to like Jake Carbaugh a lot. We talked about Cole Kinniger earlier on in the show. Have to throw him in here because, like, I value the bat always, right? We're send this guy out because of the position player profile, but you can't ignore the 95 to 98 with an absolute banger that he showed last spring. And this is where we get to Savion Sims, who this will be another one of the closest follows. Word on the street is going to be heading down to the Dallas area. We will see about that. I don't want to announce anything too soon, but he's a righty, 6'8". He's up to 101.
A couple times.
Yeah. He can throw 110.
He just didn't touch it. He was tickling it for a while. That was pretty impressive.
Now, I'm interested in like the secondary stuff. That'll be what gets followed the closest. Like, right. What is the finger placement? Can he find the touch on stuff like this? Because that type of arm and profile, like the floor is what, Seif? Like $2 million would be a lowest floor for a guy like that.
Yeah, that's just arms like that, like the Jack Bauer, right? 101 mile per hour. He's 6'8". The arm is loose. I mean, there's nothing mechanically there. Just you still got to grow into the body and get control of everything. He's just so long and so tall. It might take a while, but oh my gosh, there's so much there to like.
And I think some of that, like, is it too big? Like, those would be the super critiquing, but like, there's a lot of unteachable. There's a lot of unicorn in what Savion Sims is bringing up there. And if he's heading down to Dallas, they'll get even more looks. Although Oklahoma just churns out top 5 picks. That's what the state seems to do on a yearly basis. Behind him, some really talented Logan Georges, who's one of my favorite arms of the summer. He did have surgery a year ago, so he's coming back from that. But it's a starter profile. He's 92, 95, touch 96, good slider. Love the low pulse mound presence. He's like a quiet competitor. Like, I love everything that he does out there. Cooper Webb, we're always trying to bet on those Texans, right, Seif? Like, who better to bet on than the kid who's going to be 93, 96, probably bump some 98s. He's committed to the University of Texas. It's big time stuff. And then Wilson Anderson, full big group of guys. And I talked about the depth of those righties. Like, those guys are good. Cooper Schrum, who's from the state of Missouri, I don't think he had seen in the back half of the summer. And at the NPI Seif, Gio Rojas was throwing on one field against Trey Rangel. They paired up against each other. Borthwick was on another field. Or no, it was Denton Lord was on another field throwing against I forget who. And then just quietly throwing for the Royal Scout team was Cooper Schrum. All 6'5", 6'6". He's hitting the 3-hole left-handed hitter. He came out 91 to 94, and it was one of my favorite arms that I watched this summer. Just the way he moved. And I wasn't sure if he, early on in his high school career, was going to be able to make those jumps. I called Kevin Mulder and said, hey, Kevin, I was very off on Cooper Schrum. I love everything about what this kid brings onto the mound. Has a chance for a plus changeup as the curveball continues to come along. He's only going to get better, but it has a chance to be a special arm. I'll be curious to see what happens with him in the spring. Gary Morse, Orange Lutheran High School, for starting since I think he was a freshman there the first time that I saw him. Another prep baseball All-American. He's up to 97. He will probably touch triple digits as a 6'7" righty. Really good feel for the changeup. It's going to be about the spin. Is he able to develop that real slider or curveball to take him to that next level and raise him up a tier? So these are some really good arms. This is going to be, because Grayson Willoughby is one of my favorite deliveries in the class, super low pulse, but he's 93 and 97s from Kentucky. Good feel for the changeup. I think the spin, talking with my guy JT in Kentucky, like the slider, he's kind of started to develop, has some feel for the curveball. Didn't see that as much on the circuit. We'll see where that goes to. Cooper Sides, Seif.
Now we're talking. Now you're getting a couple of my favorite guys from the other night. Yeah, Cooper Sides.
Well, I think – so Cooper Sides is headed to Orange Lutheran, where we just talked about Gary Morse. And Cooper Sides is another 93 and 96, silky smooth mover, loose arm, feel for 3 pitches. I think from what I'm hearing, Schmid is going to Orange Lutheran as well. So Schmid, Morse, and Cooper Sides are all going to be at Orange Lutheran with CJ Weinstein. It's the Trinity League transfer portal.
That might give you a good rotation.
The Southern California transfer portal is no joke, Seif. It is a wonderful transfer period down there in SoCal. So no, Cooper Side, and he's 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, he worked a clean 3 up, 3 down inning, loose whippy arm, sat 93, 94, filled the zone. He probably had the tightest left turn, right turn breaking ball of the night. It was a plus slider, also flashed a changeup, threw a curveball. I mean, tremendous feel, size, 6'5", 210. He's one of my favorites from the night. And if you keep going down a few more, you'll get to another one of my favorites. But you know these guys better than me, but roll on. I
got to let Les know. Les, can you save me a seat at Hart Park? Can you just post it up there at the home field of Orange Lutheran? Cade Allen, Tennessee kid, another prep baseball All-American. Super. I actually keep likening him to Lance McCullers with that loose arm stroke. A really good, talented player. Gannon Grant, who ripped off some sensational sliders from the state of Indiana. Another Tennessee recruit, surprise, who's 93 to 96, throwing off 3,200 sliders. Joseph Contreras, who was a big winner at Blessed Trinity in Georgia this past spring. Ian Smith, Hudson Graham, just peppering hey, Joe Contreras keeps getting better. And each time that I got to see him, although I think it was at USA where Cary, it was very hot and humid. And poor Joseph Contreras fell victim along with 7 other guys to heat exhaustion. And in his inning, he's doing his thing at 93 and 96, and then he starts throwing up on the side of the mound. Which those poor kids out there that were doing that, but I keep talking about it. At what point, how much are we paying for split fingers, for splitters? Because he's got a sensational split finger pitch. He's got feel for breaking ball, but he's going to be triple digits for Blessed Trinity. And what I like about him is his confidence keeps growing, and he'll probably be up higher on this list throughout. He's really good. Was he one of the guys you want to talk about?
Yes, yeah. I didn't realize it was split finger. I just knew it was plus. It was an easy 1-2-3 inning. He was up to 96, sat mostly 94, 6'4", 175. He's going to grow into his frame, no loose arm. Son of a big leaguer. So those guys automatically go up many spots for me just because they have that advantage, and it usually works out. So, yeah, he was really impressive as well.
And as a Yankee fan, I know how big his dad was. Like right now, he's got tree trunk legs, but the upper body still has a ton to go. So like very excited about the upside. Blessed Trinity. I'll be checking out them probably at GDC. Hopefully it's warm. Knock on wood that we have a warm weekend there at Lake Point. Sean Sullivan, electric stuff, Ohio arm. He's up close to 98, 3 pitches. I thought his secondary stuff got better throughout the summer, but it's an aggressive look. He's a guy that is going to check a lot of metrics boxes. Cooper Harris the same way. I'm a huge fan. Flower Mound High School. I think his upside, he's at 18-1. He's actually a year younger than Sean Sullivan. But his breaking balls continue to get more bite, closer to 2,800 in the slider. Dylan Blomker, who's from New Mexico. It's a clean look. I keep talking about Jeremy Hellickson. It's like, remember Jeremy Hellickson's delivery? It was super easy.
Iowa kid, yes, sir.
So like he does not have the pinpoint control. Very few in the world do that Jeremy Hellickson did. But it's big stuff. He's an LSU recruit. I think he has a chance to make a jump. Right? All these guys are kind of going to that good bucket of, hey, these are exciting prep righties for us to check out. Jarek Turledge from Pennsylvania, who was up to 97 multiple times, big time stuff. He was a prep baseball All-American in the spring. You should see his numbers, Seif. I think it was something like in 50 innings, he struck out 145 guys.
That's pretty good.
And he hit 400, 500, whatever it is. He's committed to Penn State. Penn State, Seif.
Penn State on the board.
We are protecting state lines in the state of Pennsylvania right now, and that's something that has to be done because that state is so good. Where, hey, the kid, sorry, this is a tangent. The kid from UNO who's transferring to Arkansas, Tennessee, killed it in the Cape. Maiku.
Oh, Mike Canoe, yeah.
He's from Pennsylvania. I looked up, it's just go to Pennsylvania. Keystone State are going to have late bloomers. They are going to pop up and make an impact. Ethan Washman from Colorado, who didn't end the summer great. He's going to have a huge spring. I think he'll probably be 95, 98. The breaking ball wasn't the same in the last look, but it's going to be a 3,000 plus breaker. Ethan Armstrong is a kid that scouts are going to love from the state of Michigan, who has some solid metrics, but the makeup, his ability to do it on the bump. David Hinojosa from Poly Prep, who was there with Simi and Justice DeYoung, but he was 92 to 95 with some big metric stuff. If he can hone in kind of the strikes with the fastball, he'll have a chance to make a jump. He's at Poly Prep, committed to Vanderbilt. And then we have McCoy Silich, Ty Tillery, Alex Hoffman, Killer Bradley, who's a Pennsylvania kid who didn't get seen. I think he was banged up this summer. He has huge upside. AJ Rice. It's a really good, right now it's a really good depth in these right-handers. And then if you're talking about the potential for Paul Skeens at the top of this list, you obviously have some impact stuff.
Now, the only thing I'm super disappointed in you for, there's not a single Illinois pitcher on any, we didn't talk about a single Illinois prep pitcher. So
you know what? If you really want to
find one, shooter, start digging.
Well, you got the position guys. The kid from Illinois that I really like, and I'm sure the scouts out there are this kid, Jack Slidham. And I don't know where Lyons Township is. Is that close to you?
South suburb, LaGrange.
Okay.
It's actually close to Prep Baseball headquarters. Come on, Al.
Well, I should know it better, but when we talk with the Illinois crew, when we were going on our meetings, I said, hey, stop dancing around it. When we're looking at draft arms and guys who are going to blow up in the spring, Illinois is one of the places to start. It is going to happen year in, year out. Somebody, Illinois, maybe Wisconsin, Indiana, but keep an eye on Jack Slidham and Cincinnati. I've said it multiple times now. They're doing a great job recruiting. But Jack Slidham, that's my guy heading into the spring and the winter season.
Got it.
Seif, any other question? I know this has been a meaty episode as we dive into this high school class, and there are sure to be guys who kind of continue to show themselves, right? They're kind of sitting there, hey, this is a good one, and we will talk about a lot of those sleepers coming up. I will have articles on those sleepers. Any other questions about this high school crew?
No, we got to get this mock out. You got me excited now here. I was already excited from coming back from the Cape and writing all the talent in the Cape. But now we're talking high school guys. We're going to mix it with the college guys and get a mock out here soon. So I'm ready to roll.
Hey, Seif, I'm going to put you on here. This will be the last thing. 1-1 on the clock. Who we taking?
Man, after watching, I saw a lot of Chalowski, just one game of Lombard, but I got to go. They're both definitely worthy of 1-1, but I got to go with Lombard. That's just, for me, that was just a special talent. And once the power develops, it's a 5-tool, legit guy, mid of the order bat, which Chalowski could be that guy as well, but Lombard just has a little bit higher ceiling for me. So
there you go.
I'm going with Mr. Lombard.
Seif putting away his college bias for some talented prepsters. Seif, this has been an excellent episode. Already looking forward to kicking off the year. We will have tons of content headed your way with the release of Draft Board 1.0 coming out of this summer, along with a post-summer mock draft, along with all the content that Seif will be rolling out on prepbaseball.com and d1baseball.com. This has been another great episode of The War Room. And until next time, we will see each and every one of you at the ballpark.